Hey, GED students, Crystal sent us this little equation on our Facebook page, our Light and Salt Learning Facebook page. So let's take a look at it. It says solve, those are our directions, and then we have this pretty ugly looking equation. 7 times the quantity of x minus 3 equals 2 plus 6 times the quantity of x minus 5. So this is a regular plain old linear equation, meaning that there's no like squares or exponents on my x's. It's just plain old x's. So I can go ahead and use my regular methods for getting x alone on a linear equation. So basically what we do is we simplify the left-hand side, the expression on the left, and the right-hand side, the expression on the right, separately. These are the basic wisdom principles for solving a linear equation. Then you get the letters to the same side, so you get the variable terms together. You can't have a letter on the left and a letter on the right. That just won't work. And then finally, we work to get our letter alone, what we typically call the solving part of it. That's the isolating the variable portion. Okay, awesome. If we follow these 3 wisdom principles, we can simplify just about any linear equation. So let's take a look at the left-hand side. The left-hand side is an expression all on its own. And if there's any work you can do over there, any simplifying you can do, you should do it. I do see some simplifying I can do. I see that 7 is shoved up against these parentheses. And I know that means that I'm multiplying with 7. And I know how to multiply in the world of algebra. We commonly call it distribution. Let's do that. Let's pass that 7 out to every term in the parentheses. All right, so 7 times x is just 7x. And 7 times negative 3, notice when I'm multiplying, I read that as a negative, is negative 21. And you could use your GED calculator for that if you weren't very good at multiplying with negative numbers. Now, remember, the right-hand side, there's multiple things to do. I see some addition, I see some multiplication, I see some grouping. Remember, and I'll show you what I mean, sorry about going too fast. I see some addition, I see some multiplication, this 6 is shoved up here. I see a grouping, this x minus 5. So remember when you're simplifying that you should be following the order of operations. Now, in theory, the order of operations starts with the grouping, but I can't do this work. I can't take 5 away from x because I can only add and subtract like things. You know, I don't know what x is, so how can I take 5 away from him? So I can't do the grouping. So after grouping in the order of operations, next thing is exponents. I don't see any exponents. So next thing is any multiplication or division. Please make sure that you take care of the multiplication before you try to do the addition. So let me do this multiplication. Okay. So, and as I'm multiplying, I'm taking like it's a positive 6. So positive 6 is plus 6x. I'm sorry, let me say that again. So positive 6 times x is positive 6x or plus 6x. And positive 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Now you might say, but what do I do with that 2? Well, you just drop it down to use it on the next step. And I can see that there's still more work I can do. There is some adding and subtracting I can do here. We call that in algebra combining like terms. This is a plain old number called a constant term. This is also a plain old number called a constant term. Constant terms are always like. You can always put them together. You can always add and subtract with them. And you can do it in your calculator if you struggle with that. But basically what I'm doing here is 2 minus 30. I'm obeying the operations when I simplify. So I'm going to obey that negative sign. So 2 minus 30 is going to give me negative 28. And you might say, well, what do I do with that positive 6x? You just drop it down. Whoa. You guys, I'm struggling this morning. I said 28, but I wrote 2x. Negative 28. There we go. And then what do I do with that positive 6x? I just drop it down. Awesome. And now let's take a look at that left-hand side, that green side, 7x minus 21. One of those is an x term, and one of them is a plain old number term, a constant term. So they're not like, I can't combine them. So I'm just going to drop it. Here we go. And we've dealt with the first step. We've simplified the left and right-hand side. We've dealt with each expression separately and done as much work as we can do. The next wisdom principle, and these are just wisdom principles. You don't have to go in this order, okay? But the next one is to get the variable terms to the same side. Let me show you what I mean. Take a look at this. Do you see how I have an x in the left-hand expression and I have some x's on the right-hand side? I can't be having x's on both sides or I'll never be able to isolate x. I've got to get the x terms together. So I'm going to take one and move it to the other side. Now, remember, when you're jumping across equal signs, you have got to use opposites. And so what I'm going to do here is instead of adding 6x, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract the entire 6x away. And you say, can I do that? Yeah, you can literally do whatever you want to an equation as long as you do it to both sides. So let me jump all the way across the equal sign and I'm going to write negative 6x right there, or minus 6x right there, lined up with the other x term. And now let's see what our new equation will be. Okay, on this side, if I have 7 x's and I take away 6 x's, I'm left with 1 x, or I'm a lazy mathematician, just a single solitary x. Now I haven't done anything to change the minus 21, so it's still there. Equal sign needs to stay nice and steady, and let's take a look at what's going on our right-hand side. Adding 6x and subtracting 6x zeroes out, so that's gone. So all that I have left over there is a negative 28. Ha, I got the variable terms to the same side. Nice. Now this is looking like way easier to isolate, to get that letter alone, now that it's not so messy. Okay, so my goal is to get x alone. So obviously I have got to get rid of that minus 21. And again, we get rid of things by doing the opposite. So I will add 21. You say, can I do that? Of course, you can do whatever you want to an equation, as long as you do it to both sides. So I'm going to add 21 to both sides, keep my balance. Subtracting 21 and adding 21 are opposites, they cancel. X is alone just like I wanted. And there's the math to do. Negative 28 plus 21. Of course, you can do it in your TI, okay? You don't have to know how to do negatives by hand necessarily when you're doing algebra. And in fact, I do recommend you do it in your TI because you're going to be devoting your brain power to algebra here. But we should get negative 7. All right. And X is alone. It's isolated, so this sucker is solved. X would have to be negative 7 in order to make this complicated equation true. All right, if you have any questions about this or any other GED math topic, be sure to drop it in the comments and I'll do my best to answer it.